So it hasn't been. I think we're at the stage now that Bitcoin's going to outperform virtually all crypto assets if my base case of a severe global economic reset or recession pans out. That's my base case, and I think Bitcoin will continue outperforming. I see Ethereum right now stuck between 1,000 and 2,000. Now it's at 1,700. 2,000 is very good resistance. It is the base layer for tokenization, crypto dollars, and things like that. But now we're in that stage where I think, if I'm correct, the stock market goes closer to 3,000, the S&P 500, and gold and treasury bonds outperform in this significant recession in the U.S., then I think Bitcoin will outperform virtually all cryptos, including Ethereum. And that's been the case so far this year. It's the existing trend.
Mike McGlone, the Senior Commodity Strategist at Bloomberg Intelligence with 25 years of experience in financial markets, predicts that the current banking crisis may position Bitcoin as a global digital collateral, replacing traditional banking systems. According to him, Bitcoin's potential as an alternative to traditional banking will attract more attention, leading to mass adoption of the cryptocurrency. McGlone believes that Bitcoin will outperform all other cryptocurrencies as this macro environment favors its growth. As a result, investors may want to consider investing in Bitcoin to capitalize on its potential as a global digital collateral. Mike highlighted in his tweet, Bitcoin is viewed more as digital gold in a world going that way and may be moving on from excessive speculation. The 2023 global banking crisis and rising potential for a significant economic reset may mark an inflection. According to a report by Finbold, Bitcoin is experiencing success in various areas, with over 70% of its holders currently making a profit. Furthermore, the majority of these holders have held onto the decentralized finance asset for 1 year or more. This data indicates that Bitcoin has proven to be a valuable long-term investment, with many investors reaping significant gains. Before proceeding further in this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. McGlone thinks that following the collapse of major banks such as Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse, confidence in traditional financial institutions is being shaken and Bitcoin is becoming more attractive as a hedge against banking risk. While in response to host's question that is he considered Bitcoin to be a hedge against these ongoing banking crisis, Mike replied,
I think it's going there. Because I never believed in the hedge against inflation because that's so long term. Bitcoin needs to be around for, I think, decades before that happens. It's still just a baby. It's just evolving. It's so early days. It's such a small portion of global portfolios. But as far as a potential hedge against banking issues, yeah, I mean, it's coming up there like with gold and treasury bonds. Now, it's just a high beta, high risk version, but I think people are realizing, wow, I really probably have to have some of this, particularly if I'm looking to get away from risk assets like the stock market. This Bitcoin stuff is, if risk assets do recover, it's probably going to outperform. The Bitcoin was born out of the last significant financial crisis, or the great financial crisis in 2008 and 9. And I think this one's it's in the process of defining Bitcoin of global digital collateral. Now, that's the current state. Bitcoin has done very well, bouncing back above $25,000 resistance. At the time we're taping this on Wednesday, it's around $27,000, while the stock market still is under pressure. And I think what's happening is we're seeing a significant rally in Bitcoin this year, up to about 73%. Obviously, it was two oversold last year, but partly because people are realizing that it's becoming more like gold and U.S. Treasury bonds, but just a higher beta version of gold. And it's gaining accolades as maybe not as so much a store of value yet, but as global digital collateral in a world that's going digital. So this financial crisis is quite significant. It's defining it. And I think people are realizing one thing about Bitcoin, it's no one's project and no one's liability. And it's completely independent like gold. The thing is, it has that definable diminishing supply, and it's so low as far as adoption in so early days. And this seems to be the trigger. The banking crisis, I think, when people realize, oh, my money may not be so safe in a fractional reserve banking system. It might be safer in a fully collateralized stablecoin or crypto dollar. It seems to be hitting that inflection point that I've been looking for a while. I'm just kind of deer in the headlights watching, wow, is it really finally happening?
In his tweet, Mike said, the rest of 2023 is likely to be about how low prices can go or if they can sustain bounces. My bias is to downside. Mike McGlone believes that the recent interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve is likely to lead to a significant recession, causing a collapse in commodities. However, he sees this as an opportunity for gold and bonds to perform well. McGlone predicts that in the event of a significant recession in the US, which he considers the most likely scenario, Bitcoin will outperform virtually all cryptocurrencies, including Ether. He suggests that if Bitcoin's value can remain above $25,000, it may signal downward pressure on the S&P 500 index, potentially resulting in a surge in Bitcoin's value. McGlone views Bitcoin's ability to maintain its value above $25,000 as a sign of its resilience and strength, setting it apart from other assets in the market. Mike tweeted recently that Fed easing typical for stock market bottom. The stock market is facing normal reciprocity from the greatest liquidity pump in history that's being removed at an unparalleled pace. Earning almost 5% on UST bills appears to be an inflection point and ceiling for equity prices. McGlone suggests that various macroeconomic factors such as Fed hikes, inflation, and the Eastern European war may accelerate Bitcoin's maturation. According to him, the Fed's efforts to combat inflation would help Bitcoin outperform both gold and traditional stocks. McGlone's analysis indicates that Bitcoin has significant potential for growth in the current economic climate.
I think the Fed is just way far behind, like they were so far behind in inflation. Now that inflation is potentially collapsing, and I'll point that out in a second, the leading indicators, peaking housing, the banking crisis, commodities, means they should have stopped and they still hiked rates. So I fully see looking forward, we're going to have official acknowledgement of deflation, other from government statistics, not from forward-looking things like commodities, and the Fed tightened rates. So they're so far behind. The key thing we're going to end with, we're going to find out and get, is now by this time next year, Giovanni, when we're talking, I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about a significant enduring deflationary forces, the Fed not easing with the ease that it has in the past. We're talking right now with the S&P 500 around 4,000. I fully expect it to go to 3,000 in a recession, a normal recession, which is predicted with the highest probability since 1982 from the yield curve. And that's going to be a pressure factor on Bitcoin. But potentially we're hitting that inflection now where this recession is going to be great for things like gold and long bonds. And the thing is Bitcoin in there? I think it's hitting that, but it's just hard to say for sure. But I think the more the Bitcoin can sustain above 25,000 and the more the S&P 500 potentially pressures below 4,000, you're going to have an indication that Bitcoin is just going to take off.
McGlone points out that the current economic uncertainty may cause more investors to consider Bitcoin as a viable investment option. McGlone suggests that Bitcoin has outperformed 97% of companies listed on the S&P 500 index this year, indicating its potential as a high-growth investment. Furthermore, with decreased confidence in traditional banks, McGlone believes that Bitcoin may serve as an alternative for investors seeking to protect their assets. However, in the near term, he is cautious about Bitcoin's performance and is closely monitoring the S&P 500 index as a reliable measure of the volatility of other risk assets like Bitcoin.
It's a unique that the problem with the fintech and the new technology was the old guard technology, its deposit in the bank. And that's the extent that it dropped because of the potential that its bank deposit, which is fractionally reserved, was not safe. So what it's proving is these fully collateralized crypto dollars potentially are much safer than banks. There's no FDIC insurance needed. It obviously needs regulation. That's just a matter of time. It's how the U.S. regulates it that's going to matter. But it's happening offshore. Things like we've seen a major move away from USDC back towards Tether. Tether is the biggest one. It's controversial, but I've been just following Tether since it was around 2 billion back in 2018, and it just keeps going up with bumps in the road. Why? Because I think it's like what happened with Eurodollars about 5 decades ago when entities needed access to the dollar away from the U.S. banking system. They did it in banks outside the U.S. and created Eurodollar system. This is happening in crypto dollars. It's happening fast. The technology is overwhelming.
Mike is a key figure in the ever-evolving financial landscape who says the current banking crisis will kick off a bull run in Bitcoin. As evidence of its potential, the largest digital asset by market capitalization has already added over $200 billion to its market cap in 2023, while the top 5 largest U.S. banks have lost $100 billion in dollar market value amid ongoing turmoil in the banking sector. Looking for a supercycle, Bitcoin outperforms commodities with declining risk. Bitcoin beating gold, the top-performing old guard commodity in 2023 to March 20 by almost 10, may be indicative of a supercycle happening in the crypto. On this note, we conclude our video. Do you agree with Mike McGlone's outlook towards financial crisis and surge in digital assets? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this information helpful, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We look forward to bringing you more updates in the future.